Are you like most golfers that are troubled by having double bogeys on the scorecard, or worse? You're going along, you've played a few holes, maybe you've played 9 or more holes, and all of a sudden you start to rack up the score. So double bogey occurs on the scorecard, is likely to be followed by another. What we're going to look at today is some strategies that you can play for tee shots, approach shots, short shots around the green, and putting that are going to help eliminate those double bogeys. Now, when we begin, we have a look and think about what is the likely cause, overarching cause of these shots, and it's panic. Now, panic doesn't necessarily mean that your heart starts racing, you feel fearful, but it just means that it might be that your strategic thinking gets clouded a little bit. As an example, you hit a shot in the trees, you're thinking, I don't want to drop 2 shots, I don't want to have that double bogey, and so you try and play a hero shot. You try and play a shot that is not likely to come off unless you're either highly skilled or lucky. Let's start with an overarching rule, and that rule is that you're not going to attempt a shot. There are some circumstances where this may not apply, but definitely for the vast majority of shots you're going to play on the course, don't attempt it unless you can be pretty sure you can have that shot be successful, say 70% of the time. Now that may be a slightly conservative approach, but it's also a stroke saving approach. Now, depending on your level of skill, that's going to save you shots from a few shots around, a couple of shots around, to a massive number of shots around. It may be the first time you're going to be breaking 100 just by taking that strategic choice, in which case, because it saves you a whole lot of shots, it doesn't feel so conservative after all. So let's have a look today at what we can do in order to save shots on every round. So the first shot we want to consider is the tee shot. Now, a driver will certainly put you further down the fairway, leave you with a shorter shot to the green, provided it's on the fairway or maybe just off the fairway. And what we'll see, if we have a look at, say, the dispersion pattern of a shot. Let's say I hit the ball a few degrees offline with a long iron, a hybrid or fairway wood, and a driver. The further the ball goes, the more likely it is to finish off the fairway or in trouble. And the other thing too is that with a driver, I'm actually more likely to hit it with a curve and have it finish offline. So certainly use your driver when it's strategically sound to do it. Otherwise, play a shot that is going to get you onto the fairway, same rule, 70% of the time. So in this case, the hole behind me has a fairly narrow fairway. So what I'm looking to do to get my shot on the fairway is I've chosen in this instance to use a 3-wood as opposed to the driver. So a good drive will certainly hit me further, as I mentioned before, but the 3-wood is also likely to be able to get on the fairway, in my case, with that 60-70% success rate. Let's see how we go. So a little fade, but no trouble. So again, I'm on the fairway, so I'm giving myself the absolute best chance of hitting a shot that is going to finish up successful. So again, I'm going to stay with my rule of looking to play a shot to the green with my approach that I'm likely to be able to pull off 60 or 70% of the time. So I'm taking into account positioning of hazards, wind direction, the shape of the green, and where the pin is. Now, the first thing about where the pin is for the most part, I'm going to ignore it. I'm just going to try and hit to either the safest part of the green or the middle of the green. Now, a secondary strategic thing to think about is the distance you hit the ball. Now, by far the majority of mishit shots, and the majority of shots we all hit are slightly mishit. So we see, if we look at the dispersion pattern of shots that are played to the green, typically they're going to be in the front third of the green or short of the green. Now, depending on whether you hit the ball with typically miss it to the right or miss it to the left, it'll still likely be fairly short. So what I'm going to do in my mind is I'm dividing the green into thirds, a front third, a middle third, and a back third. And regardless, again, I said, of where the pin is, except maybe for front pin position, what I'm looking to do is hit the ball into the back third of the green all the time. Now, if I hit the ball well and it finishes in the back third of the green or somewhere close to it, then my putt is not likely to be too long to begin with. If I mishit it a little bit, it may still get on the green, in which case I'm still putting. If it's left or right, I might have a short little shot onto the green, but again, I'm not leaving myself with a really long shot. So I'm going to take sufficient club to get me to the back third of the green. So with this shot here, the pin actually is a little bit slightly rear side of center. So I have no trouble taking a club that is going to get the ball to finish slightly into that rear third. So that's going to make life a lot easier. Again, I'm sort of allowing for a mishit. It's not a negative attitude. It's actually a very smart strategic attitude. If you do that with all of your approach shots, I'll guarantee that your next shot is either going to be shorter or on the green, in which case it's going to be shorter anyway. And so that might make your putt easier. The shot that I'm facing here, right down the front of the green there, or off the front of the green, is 30 of my paces. So it's a long way. It's sort of around about 30 meters or 90 feet, something like that. Now, because I'm that far away, what I want to do is control the ball and try and get it somewhere near the hole. Hopefully I can one putt after that, but ideally have no more than 2 putts. Now, if I take a lofted club, my chances of getting the ball into the hole or near the hole are greatly reduced, simply because I've got to manage the loft on the club, the spin on the ball, and I've got to hit it a lot harder than my club of choice here, which is actually a 6-iron. Now, I could play this shot with a 5-iron or even a hybrid, and it's going to give me a lot more control over the rolling ball. So let's play this shot just like a normal chip shot, expecting it to run the majority of the way to the hole. So from that distance, that's about maybe 2 yards, 2 meters, 6 feet. So that's going to give me a chance to be able to hole the next one. Now, especially you will have noticed that that ball rolled, there's quite a slope, quite an undulation. And again, if I'm using a lofted club hitting a ball that far and it has to land on a slope, I don't really know whether the ball is going to bounce sideways off the slope, whether the slope's going to affect it or not. So by running the shot up, I'm basically eliminating that as a possibility. So my objective in putting is to get the ball near enough to the hole so that I can avoid having 3 putts, so that I can either 1 putt or 2 putt, depending of course on the distance. Now the putt that I'm about to play is 16 meters or about 50 feet. Certainly from that distance, my objective is to get the ball near enough to the hole so that I can hole my next one. So I'm not too focused on getting the line right. I want to get it approximately right, but I'm mostly focused on the distance that I'm hitting the putt, the feel of the distance. So I'm focusing on pace control. So when I have a practice stroke, my practice stroke is a rehearsal to feel what's the length of the stroke, what's the rhythm of the stroke, and what's the pace of the stroke that's going to get that ball rolling at the speed I want so it finishes near the hole. I know that sounds a fair bit, but you'll probably do it anyway. It's just whether or not your attention is really on it. Now, every putt you hit gives you the opportunity to have data for the future where you're going to be able to determine what that correct feel is for the putt, certainly getting it approximately right. So when I hit this putt in a moment, we're looking at just trying to get the ball somewhere near the hole. So somewhere near the hole was a bit of a bonus on that one, but again, so that will certainly save me a double bogey on this hole. It was one take. So with that putt, absolute joy, smile on my face. If I'm holding putts like that on the golf course, it's going to be a very happy day, but it doesn't always happen. So again, those longer putts, make sure that you're focused mostly on distance control. Now, even with the shorter putts, once you get closer to the hole, we still want to focus on pace control. Now, so many players feel like, oh, once I get close to the hole, I want to ram them in, I want to hit them hard so they hold their line and don't break too much. That's a reasonable argument, except that as the putt moves to the hole faster, the hole effectively becomes smaller. So if I hit my putt so it just dribbles to the front edge of the hole, it may just roll away from the hole and cause me to miss it. So my typical talk about ideal roll pace is that if the ball misses, it finishes roughly a shoe length past the hole. I know we have different sized feet, but if we think of that as a general guide, it's near enough. Now, if I hit my putt too hard, what we'll see with the graphic is that for every little bit the putt would finish past the hole effectively becomes smaller and smaller. So I want to give myself the best chance of not only holing the putt, but also if I'm too aggressive with that putt, I'm likely to have a putt coming back to the hole that could even be longer and certainly more difficult to hole. And often I'll see with pace control is the major reason why players 3-putt and even 4-putt. So make sure with your putting, long putts, get them near the hole, short putts, focus on distance. So really we're focused on distance with both putts. When you have a look at these strategic ideas that I've mentioned, how are you tackling tee shots? Remember the overarching rule that we want to play a shot where possible where we've got about a 60 or 70% likelihood of that shot coming off, preferably 70%. Now there'll be occasions where you have to play a shot, perhaps a shot where you're pitching over a bunker or something like that, where the likelihood of that 70% shot coming off is not there. So if you're following that guideline, you will definitely start lowering your scores, having or even eliminating double bogeys from your scorecard.